at dining room tables, sitting on the couch, and even laying in bed at night. It is the same conversation being had all across this country. What are we going to do next month? What about the month after that? What about the holidays? We made it through this one, but things aren't getting any better. How are we going to fix this? For decades, starting in the 90s and going through the 2000s, there were a great many scenarios, mostly put out by Hollywood, talking about the apocalypse, Armageddon, the end. What would people do? And people made plans thinking it was going to be this quick and dirty and violent thing, not this death of 10,000 cuts, which is what people are having to deal with right now. It's slow and it's painful. But I do have some encouragement. There's a channel out there here on YouTube, Southern Prepper 1. I've mentioned him before. And a couple days ago, I talked about this really great video that he did where him and a friend put together all of these cards. And on each card, it shows a scenario that you can sit around and talk about with friends about, are you ready for without rule of law when things finally do fall apart completely? Now, I ordered a set. It's actually very inexpensive. It's you can get it on Amazon. He has a store there. And there are 10 different categories: economic collapse, terrorism, violence, and thought crimes, new American Civil War, bank run, religion, natural and man-made disasters, World War III, pandemic 2.0, I guess at this point, government, and then emergency preparedness basics. So this would be something where you could order one of these and you could take what would be a difficult conversation and turn it into something that would be something, well, less unpleasant. Let's put it that way. Here's the video. It's from 6 days ago. Are you ready for the collapse? 300 survival scenarios to test your mindset. Now here I'll give you the link to his video and then you can follow his Amazon link. Very inexpensive, money well spent. And it can be something where you can take what is a difficult thing to talk about, whether it was with friends or family or a loved one or spouse, and you can just draw cards and say, well, let's deal with this one. Let's talk about this one tonight. We'll hash it over. We'll see what each other's thinking, and then we will, just do this every single night. And at least at that point, you can say you're making progress. You're doing something. I think one of the biggest problems right now is people feel like we're not doing anything. We're not making any progress. We don't seem to be moving forward. At least in this particular case, when you do this, you can say that, well, we've spent the last so many weeks or months, getting to know each other's mind on things and making preparation that way. And I'll tell you what, that is really key. That is so key, that when things do finally get out of control, to know what your partner's thinking, knowing what that person that you're sharing your life with is thinking. That's huge. So just want to give a huge shout out again to Southern Prepper 1. Well done. Well done. Probably the most productive thing I've seen come out of the prepper community in a long, long time. So just wanted to give him a shout out. Like I said, I'll put the link to his video, and you know what? I'll go ahead and do that too. I'll go ahead and put his Amazon link as well down in the description, also in the first pinned comment. So you guys can go right there. Trust me, this will not be one of those purchases you regret. I've just been kind of scanning through them. And these are some well thought out categories and well thought out questions. So anyway, without any further delay, I also want to be diligent every day and say thank you to everyone who has joined us over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year, fully refundable. First 90 days, we are going to be dropping a brand new video over there in the next 24 to 48 hours. The topic is going to be one that we've talked about here on YouTube before, regarding this very recent song that has gotten so many people enthralled. And I use that term very specifically, enthralled. You might want to look that one up. I've found some new information. The reason I'm not sharing it on YouTube is basically because I want to show a little bit of mercy. Because if I share this information publicly, outside of a paywall, I never intended to harm. I just want people to understand something, that it is easy to get caught up in anger and in hate and in righteous indignation, thinking that that is something that will serve us. And it doesn't. It never does. It never moves us closer to the righteousness of God, ever. Getting upset or getting angry at unfairness and lashing out that way. But once again, that will be at Patreon. It won't be here. If you can join us, God bless you. Thank you so much. I would very much appreciate it. There's a lot of unfairness in my life and the life of others here that I could probably go on and on about, but I want to focus on gratitude. I want to focus on being thankful for what we do have and our ability to even sit and plan to go forward. There are those that don't have that. So, also, only in about 4 days now, 22nd, today's the 18th, I think, we're going to be drawing 2 names out of a hat for the last 2 known in existence Florida Monkey coffee mugs. Black and white. They have the channel logo, a Monkey in the middle, destroying the illusion and masters of the mind. Sometimes being masters of the mind is being masters of the memory, and that's what today's video on YouTube here is about. Donald Trump issues warning on dollar. Now, he says something in this warning that's very correct, but he also says something that's completely incorrect. I mean, literally, provably false. Trump issues warning on dollar. The Republican frontrunner lamented decline of the U.S. currency, arguing no country would have dropped the greenback on his watch. That's provably false. Provably false. Former U.S. President Donald Trump warned that the dollar is poised to lose its status as world reserve currency, and with it, the country's position atop the geopolitical totem pole. So basically, Donald Trump's saying that he would stand for the continued enforcement of the Bretton Woods Agreement that makes the dollar the world reserve currency. And the Fed. Quote, "Our country is going to hell and we're not going to be the big boy," Trump claimed, arguing that, quote, his words, not mine, "We have the power, but it's waning. In fact, it's waning in terms of our currency. Should the dollar cease to be the world's reserve currency, quote, it's bigger than losing any war." The Republican frontrunner continued, while this would have been, quote, unthinkable under a Trump presidency, he said now people are thinking about it, particularly China, putting the U.S. in danger of being dethroned as the global hegemon. This is even more alarming given the current state of the U.S. as a country, Trump said, another quote from Mr. Trump. "We are already reverting to third world status in many ways. You look at our airports, terminals, look at our filthy roads, broken roads, and everything else. We're like a third world country." U.S. was just 18 months away from outproducing Russia and Saudi Arabia in oil. We would have made so much money. We would have been paying off debt. We would have been doing things that nobody's ever seen this country do. But basically the idea here is said that nobody would have ever thought of de-dollarizing. Nobody would have ever thought of getting away from or not trading in the U.S. dollar on his watch. Well, provably false. Provably false. Let's go all the way to the top of this here. Not sure how that got off center, but 1 second here. This is October 24, 2017. This is his first year. World de-dollarization and how to profit. The de-dollarization process is gathering momentum. The ongoing trickle will inevitably reach a waterfall moment that will lead to a torrent of outflows from the U.S. dollar and fiat currency in general. What that black swan event will be that triggers the final downfall, and when it arrives, is anyone's guess, but what we can be sure of is that at some stage, trust in the U.S. dollar and fiat currencies in general will evaporate. Now, he talks about the classic gold standard, 1870 to 1913, the end of the gold standard in 1943, the Bretton Woods Agreement, 45 to 71, and then the fiat currency system, 71 to now. But this was in 17. Russia and China, bypassing the dollar. Their bilateral relations are being now forged in oil and gold. Saudi Arabia, funding in Chinese yuan. This last 2 months, talking about October of 17. Saudis and Chinese have met and announced that the Saudis are considering funding their budget shortfall in yuan. Russia bans U.S. dollar at Russian ports. Venezuela bans U.S. dollar in all oil trades. Chinese introduce yuan-based crude oil futures contracts. Iran will stop pricing oil in dollars. Germany repatriates gold. And here's the thing where we're going to dovetail. Rapid growth of cryptocurrencies. You see, even here in America, there was a huge push under the Trump administration at that time to get people into cryptocurrency. And this is a form of de-dollarization. It's the ultimate form of de-dollarization, is getting into Bitcoin. But I have a question. And this is the hardest thing. Maybe it's because I'm a boomer. Maybe my brain is not big enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough or intelligent enough to get it. It's still something that I can't understand, how you can de-dollarize something that denominates itself in the thing that you're trying to Bitcoin denominates its value in dollars. In dollars. How can you say this currency is going to replace the dollar when all of its value is traded in and speculated in dollars? I never understood the concept of what its value is outside of the dollar. Now, and you can look at this for yourself if you want to, May of 2022, not May of this year, May of last year, it's flat. 29,408 to, well, I mean, generally speaking, it's flat. Here you go, to August 11th, about a week ago. From May of 22 to a week ago, it was literally exactly flat. You wouldn't have made a dime if you'd had it in the last 15 months. So, that, and not only, and I'm asking this, and I'm not trying to be snarky with the crypto folks. I'm really not. One of the reasons I think a lot of people don't trust it, don't get into it, is you can do this. Watch what I can do in 3 tabs. Bitcoin drops to 2-month low as world markets sell off. Well, we should get out of it then, right? And that was from August 18th, 2023. This is today. Here was yesterday, August 17th. 500,000 Bitcoin price now on the table as classic indicator suggests parabolic rally coming, plan B. So yesterday, here's an article saying that it's going to go from $26,000 to $500,000. And then today there's an article talking about how world markets are now selling off. And then, here, August 17, last day, Bitcoin's flat trend amid surging treasury yields signals potential price upheaval. So, here's an article saying that it's dropping as world markets sell off. Here's an article saying that it's going to go to 500,000. And here's an article saying that it's flat. All in the last 2 days. If you weren't a crypto junkie, you would look at this and go, what the hell am I supposed to believe? Seriously, I mean, what? It's very difficult. And here's the hard part. That, once again, I could be a boomer. I could just be dumb. I could just not have the gray matter to grasp this. If you buy Bitcoin now, and let's say it's 26,000, and let's say the first article that said it's going to 500,000 comes true, and in the next year it goes to 500,000, and everybody wants to get their money out. Where do those dollars come from? If you put 26,000 in, and then it goes from 26,000 to 500,000, and you want to pull that money back out, isn't that essentially printing money, printing dollars? Where would those dollars come from? All of a sudden, there'd be this huge flush of cash go into the dollar markets. And then the converse is also true. Let's say the second article is correct, and it's collapsing, and it goes to nothing. Where did all of those dollars go? Who has them? Who has them? If you give somebody $26,000 to buy a Bitcoin, and in 6 months it's worth $2,000, and you want to get your money back, who got that 24 grand? Where did that 24 grand go? Because the network is the network is the network is the network. You say it's based on hashing transactions. Well, did it not hash transactions exactly the same way now as it did 6 months ago or 6 months from now? The network itself is not changed. Where does that all go? So when people can start having good answers to those questions, I think you'll see a lot more people adopt cryptocurrency into their life. But until they can, they're going to stick with the dollar. So, anyway, but when things get rough and people have to ask themselves questions, do I let my car get repossessed? Do I get evicted? Do I go live on the street? Do I go move out to my 90-acre ranch with a fleet of power toys and whine about how bad my life is? Do I feed my kids or not feed my kids? And I know this is not a popular thing to talk about. It's really not, but there's something that always has paid the bills since Bible times. And boy, it bothers a lot of people. But this is what happens when things go bad. It's the first thing, I'll be very honest with you, that happens. When things really go bad and things financially go down the toilet, there is one way that money has always changed hands. Always. And that's just human nature. Men are stupid. That's the headline on that one. Men are dumb. So I will leave it there. But one last thing. How many of you remember way back in the day, there was this very campy sci-fi show called Babylon 5. And they had all these different races and they were living on this space station, and it was really just almost comical to watch. Looking back now, it's actually hilarious. There was a race that were called the Shadows, and they flew around in ships like this. Well, one of my followers over at Instagram sent me a link. And to be honest, I get sent a lot of links to a lot of things, and I don't look at them. I don't, because then you get all caught up in who saw what. But I went ahead and looked at the link and then found the image and then searched the image, and he wasn't the first one to find it. But not a lot of people have seen it, so I thought I would share it with you guys today. There's something out in eastern Turkey that is truly terrifying. I'll give you the coordinates for this, but this is in the middle of a field in eastern Turkey. And it was the first thing that I thought about. I'm like, this looks like one of the shadow vessels from Babylon 5. We're talking, this is way back. We're talking 2003, 4, 5. Someone help me out here on the years of Babylon 5. Something like that. It might even have been the night. You know what? It might even have been the 90s. Now that I think about it, Babylon 5 might have actually been in the 90s. Same era as like Deep Space Nine. But here's where it gets even worse. You ready for this? As if this image wasn't bad enough. Watch this. Look at this. Absolutely nuts. What are all of these things? I don't have any earthly explanation. I looked all over this region to find anything that could possibly explain it. There's one of them over here. And I guess this is kind of hard to count. One, looks like there's two of them on top of each other right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A smaller one here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 or 17 of these things, at least. Just spitballing here. Just unreal. Just absolutely an unreal image. And I have no good earthly explanation for it. So I will leave it there, and I'll let you guys speculate on what you think this might be. It's in eastern Turkey, and like I said, down in the description and down in the first pinned comment, I will give you the Google Earth Pro links. I'm not sure if you're going to find this with the Google Earth web-based version or what they call the Google Earth phone version, but the imagery is just frightening, for lack of a better word. So I will leave it there, but it's just one of those things where there's probably not going to be any good answers to the death of a thousand cuts. Because you'd have to ask yourself a question: what do you do? What do you really do? You just got to toughen up and just, kind of brace yourself for the long haul. Because I think that's kind of what we're in for at this point. I don't think there's going to be this, I guess, Jericho moment where somebody wakes up and looks around, there's 39 mushroom clouds going off all across the United States. Who knows, a meteor might hit. There could be a massive earthquake, but how many of you had hurricane headed for Southern California on your bingo card for the beginning of hurricane season? Not Southern Florida. Massive hurricane, Category 4, headed for Arizona, Southern California, could dump years worth of rain in just a day. Just things people just never would have ever believed are happening. So anyway, God bless. Would love to have you join us, Patreon. I wouldn't push this every single day if it wasn't something where it was sink or swim, life or death for the channel. And that's kind of where we're at right now. $1 US, that's it. Even less, 90 cents. If you sign up, 90 cents a month if you sign up for an entire year. And you have 3 months. 3 months that you can go over there and see everything that's available. And if it's not for you, you can request all $3 back. No questions asked, goes right back at you. So, God bless. I'll pray for you, pray for me, pray for each other, lift each other up. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.